Today, I would like to make the case for why the Atlanta Braves should not change their team name. This is a story that I guess it became topical, at least to my apprehension, it became topical after I guess the Cleveland Indians decided not to be the Cleveland Indians anymore. Of course, last year the Washington Redskins decided not to be the Washington Redskins anymore. And people have the right to do what they want with their own franchises. Don't get me wrong, and they can change the team name if they want. Don't get me wrong, but it should be nobody. It should be a surprise to nobody that I'm not a big fan of making these kinds of virtue signaling cosmetic changes that don't really change anything. It's just kind of a way to say, hey, look at how racially sensitive I am, and so forth. But, if we're just going to look at it, look at the names for what they connote, for what they describe. Yes, Washington Redskins. Redskins is a slur. It was never not a slur as far as I know. So I can understand why you would want not to be the Washington Redskins anymore. Cleveland Indians, that's just saying what they are. You're not saying they're the Cleveland Native Americans, but I don't really know why having Indian for a name is all that bad. If you call them the Celts, would that be bad? If you called them some other ethnicity, if you call them the Druids, would that be bad? I don't think so. I think that would be kind of cool. But for some reason, Indians, even though it's not derogatory, that was deemed racially insensitive or something. It's not even about that. It's just about, like I said, virtue signaling and going, I'm such a good person. I'm a good person. I'm doing this virtuous thing. Are you really doing? When is the last time you've been to any of the reservations and seen what goes on there and the kind of vices and pathologies that are inherent to, unfortunately, to many a reservation? What have you done about that? What have you done about the problems, the plights, the true plights that plague? Some little alliteration there. That plague the various tribes in their own nations, their reservations. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. But at least you changed the team name, and that means you're such a good person. Now, when it comes to the Atlanta Braves, all right, I grew up as an Atlanta Braves fan. I grew up in Metro Atlanta. The Braves were really, really bad for most of the time, all of my childhood, and then they got really good in the early '90s, and were really good for a while after that. Won one World Series, could have won more. Anyhow, there was, of course, people didn't like the tomahawk chop, or people found the tomahawk chop offensive for some reason. Tomahawk chop was just going like this. And it was just something that it was like it was kind of cool at first, actually. And I know it came from Florida State, the Florida State Seminoles. And they're still the Seminoles, aren't they? I think. But it was kind of cool at first, and then it got kind of old and got kind of worn out. But I don't know why anybody would think that going like this, the motion of a tomahawk, why is that offensive to anyone or anything? But anyhow, even if you think that, and I can see the reasoning for saying Redskins is a slur, so we shouldn't call them Redskins. I can't really so much see why Indians is such a bad thing. Indians is just sort of a neutral name. Again, it's not ultra PC like Native American or something like that. But most American Indians don't feel offended when you say when you identify them as American Indians, or they even identify themselves that way, or more likely they call themselves by their own particular tribe, like Navajo or Comanche or what have you. But Braves, I mean, who were the Braves? The Indian Braves were fierce warriors. They went into battle, and they were called Braves because they were brave, because they were valorous, because they fought fiercely. This doesn't seem like, why would that be considered derogatory at all? It doesn't make any sense. It's basically like another way of saying warriors. If you took the name for a warrior in another culture, I can't think of anything right now, and that were your team name, there would be nothing derogatory or bad about that. In fact, that's like a tribute. So I don't think the Atlanta Braves should change their name. I will be very disappointed if they do. But the way things are headed right now, with ultra wokeness and political correctness and virtue signaling, trumping just about everything else, it probably will happen, and I will be very disappointed when and if it does happen. To me, they'll still be the Braves. I'll still call them the Braves as long as I could never think of calling them anything else but the Braves. But I don't see the point. I don't see how it's justifiable to say that there's something derogatory about it or something bad about it. It just doesn't make sense at all. It's not a slur, right? It's not. It's in fact, it's a compliment. It's like those young Indian men who go into battle, and fight so fiercely and with such valor. They are braves. They are the brave. I remember that. I remember back in the early '80s, going to Atlanta Braves games, and they would play the national anthem, and they would say on the screen, it would say, or the land of the free and the home of the Braves, and they would show the little, what was at the time the Braves logo, the smiling Indian guy, and and so that was cool. That was cool. We had I remember this guy called Chief Nakahoma. That wasn't his real name, but he was actually a full-blooded Cherokee, and he was like their I don't want to say their mascot. That sounds that sounds derogatory. That sounds like kind of minstrel show-esque. But he wasn't really a mascot per se. He was just like this figure. And he had he had a teepee that he was operating in left field, I believe it was, and kids could come and stand in the teepee and watch the game from the teepee, or move in and out. I don't really remember much about the inside of that that place, but people like to go there and just hang out and stuff. It was a more freewheeling time back then, a more hang loose kind of time. Definitely more so than today. Way more so than today. Oh my gosh. But anyway, Chief Nakahoma, I remember he like on special occasions he would do this like fire dance, where like on the pitcher's mound and everything. And I know today some people would think that was derogatory, or would think that was that he was being exploited, or that it was inappropriate. It certainly not less appropriate by today's standards. But then again, today's standards are shit. I get sensitivity, but this kind of ultra sensitivity and very selective sensitivity, to the point where it only applies in certain cases and not in others, where saying Braves is derogatory, but calling yourself the Fighting Irish and having the mascot be this like leprechaun with this stereotypical drunken Irish looking figure, and that's okay, that's fine. It doesn't make sense. It's very selective. It's very it's very inconsistent, and I do strongly suspect that it would regardless of what anybody thinks, but I think what I'm saying is true. But I do strongly suspect that most of these kinds of ultra sensitivity, and most of this kind of virtue signaling, and most of this kind of attitude of we'll be such good people if we do this. This does not come from the American Indian population, or the Native American population, or the tribal population, or whatever we call them. This is strictly a white liberal trip, and it's just stupid. It's stupid because it doesn't, as I've demonstrated here, it doesn't make sense. It's not consistent. They call it derogatory when it's not derogatory, and so I would say don't change a thing. Keep on being the Atlanta Braves. I know I'm nobody, and what I'm saying here probably won't make a difference, but this is my humble plea to the franchise. Keep on being the Braves. You'll always be Braves to me. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. Check out my work at ultrarightnovelist.com. Check out my latest book, The Insurrectionist, at terrorhousepress.com.